supposed to do? They dug up news. They came up with the contents of Hunter Biden's personal laptop, and boy, was there a lot on there. Not just the famous pictures of Hunter Biden putting M&Ms on his private parts, but also extensive evidence of the Biden family's long-term overseas influence peddling operation. How do they live in those big houses? Because they're getting paid off by foreign governments in exchange for favors, the Ukrainian government, among others. So we took a look at those claims and quickly confirmed that the laptop was authentic. And as part of that reporting process, we interviewed Tony Bobulinski. He was mentioned on the laptop numerous times. He worked with Hunter Biden. But in a twist that will haunt us for the rest of our lives, that laptop was used as a pretext to impose a vast censorship regime on the United States of America. Big tech censored the New York Post on the basis that it was Russian disinformation. Joe Biden did the same. On the debate stage, citing 50 former intelligence officials, all of them liars, Biden again called the whole laptop story Russian disinformation.
We are in a situation where we have foreign countries trying to interfere in the outcome of our election. His own national security advisor told him that what is happening with his buddy, I will. His buddy, Rudy Giuliani, he's being used as a Russian pawn. He's being fed information that is Russian, that is not true.
Foreign interference in our elections. Of course, the irony is the laptop showed that foreign companies and governments had been paying the Biden family in exchange for changing U.S. policy toward those countries, selling out our nation for cash. The Ukrainians most famously. But the rest of the media dutifully echoed Joe Biden's lie. Watch.
Disinformation that he knows to be fabricated and supplied by a foreign intel. Despite the warning, he's still doing it.
You have said this entire thing is so obviously a Russian plot.
It's sort of a crazy quilt at this point, which has all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation. That said, it wasn't for lack of trying.
Rudy basically functioning as a Russian asset by pushing Russian disinformation.
CNN reported on Friday that U.S. authorities are seeing if those emails we just talked about are connected to an ongoing Russian disinformation effort.
It's pretty amazing to look back at that. So a lot of the people you just started as cable news dingbats. They've never read a book in their lives. They have no idea what's going on. They just read the script, whatever. But a couple of the people in that montage are supposedly serious people who held positions of real authority. One of them, McFaul, was the U.S. ambassador to Russia. Another one was a high FBI executive. And yet they all dutifully repeated the same lie. Well, things have changed. Biden is now president, so the New York Times can admit what we all knew all along. The laptop is totally real. It's not Russian disinformation. According to the New York Times, quote, the Biden family's emails appear to have come from a laptop abandoned by Mr. Biden in a Delaware repair shop, authenticated by people familiar with them and with the investigation. So this is a massive win for the people, I guess, who were censored. And first among them is Miranda Divine, who was censored when she tried to tell the truth before the election. She's the author of The Laptop from Hell, columnist of the New York Post. We're happy to have her join us tonight. Miranda, how does this feel to have the New York Times admit that you were right all along?
Well, it's kind of delicious to see them sort of squirming around trying to admit the obvious. But, you know, if you're a reader of the New York Post or a viewer of Fox News, you knew this 16 months ago. You didn't need the great New York Times to tell you that it was true and that they'd authenticated the emails. We already did that. And we published truth, the stories that were real, and have continued to do so without fear or favour. But unfortunately, the New York Times readers have been kept in the dark by their newspaper, their organ of choice, and that was for deliberate reasons. It was because they wanted Donald Trump to lose the 2020 election. So all journalistic ethics and standards went out the window. And there doesn't matter how you try and dress it up now and pretend that you just found out, even if you didn't have the laptop, as you know, because you interviewed Tony Bobulinski at the time, he was a patriot, a hero who stood up against his own interests to tell the world the truth about Joe Biden and about his influence peddling, the way he abused his power to make money from foreign countries at the expense of America's national interest. And we're now reaping the spoils of that. And I think, ultimately what we need to know now that we're all on the same page, now that we agree that reality is reality, what do we do next? And I think the next step is to actually look at the evidence of wrongdoing by the president and his family, obviously, but he's the important one, that's contained in the laptop, and do something about it.
And throw off the censorship regime that began that day when they censored you, they knocked Parler off the internet. We've never really recovered from that. I mean, everything we say is now censored and no one says anything about it.
Yes, and also the 50 former intelligence people. I mean, that was John Brennan, former recent head of the CIA. That was Leon Panetta. That was James Clapper and Michael Hayden. These people who now are, to this day, appearing on CNN and MSNBC as esteemed experts on Russia and Ukraine. And those people should never hold their heads up in public again. They have been, their reputations are destroyed by the fact they signed that letter and lied about the laptop and said, without looking at it, that it was Russian disinformation, and they got Joe Biden off the hook.
You think of all the people who've been destroyed for nothing, some stupid comment, and then the criminals walk free, a lot of them. Miranda Divine, thank you.
Thanks so much, Tucker.